Long before he became a legend, Midas was real. His name was King Midas of Mushki, known in history as Midas of Phrygia, a powerful ruler who lived in the 8th century BCE, between 738 and 696 BCE, in what is now central Turkey. He ruled from Gordion, the capital of ancient Phrygia, a thriving city near where Ankara stands today. It was a land of mountains and vineyards, of markets heavy with wool and gold. Even now, archaeologists uncover traces of his world: carved thrones, feasting bowls, and the tomb of a king buried with more treasure than any man could ever spend. But what people remember most about Midas isn't the gold he owned. It's the gold he wished for. He asked the gods for a gift that promised everything, and ended up losing everything. It's a story thousands of years old, yet it still reflects us, our hunger for more, our search for perfection, and our blindness to what we already have. He wanted to turn the world into gold. Instead, he turned it lifeless. So who was Midas really? A greedy king? Or a man who mistook desire for meaning? To find out, we need to go back to the moment he made his wish.
They say the god Dionysus, grateful for Midas's kindness, offered him any wish. But before that moment, Dionysus had already wandered far and wide, a god unlike any other. He was the god of wine, celebration, and transformation, the spirit of ecstasy and madness, who blurred the lines between joy and chaos, life and illusion. To some, he was a liberator, freeing people from sorrow through wine, music, and dance. To others, he was a warning, proof that too much pleasure can undo even the wisest soul. One day, one of his companions, a satyr named Silenus, wandered away and became lost. Silenus was half human and half beast, though even the ancients couldn't quite agree on what kind. In later Greek and Roman times, he and the other satyrs were shown as part man, part goat, with goat ears, tails, and sometimes hooves. They were inspired by Pan, the rustic god of the wild, who was fully goat-like below the waist. This image symbolized lust, instinct, and untamed nature, the animal side of humanity that Dionysus brought out through wine and ecstasy. But in earlier myths and art, Silenus looked different, part man, part horse, with horse ears and tail instead. That older vision reflected a time before Pan's image took hold, when satyrs were seen as wild companions, raw forces of freedom, instinct, and chaos. Whichever form he took, Silenus embodied the same truth: the blurred line between man and beast, between wisdom and desire. He was said to know the secrets of the universe, but only when drunk. When King Midas found Silenus wandering through his rose gardens, he didn't harm him or mock him, as others might have done. He welcomed him, fed him, sheltered him, and listened to his stories, tales of the world's beginning, and of how human desire always ends in emptiness. When Dionysus finally found his old companion safe and cared for, he was deeply moved by Midas's kindness. And so, he offered the king a reward. "Ask for anything," the god said.
Without hesitation, Midas replied, "Let everything I touch turn to gold." Dionysus hesitated. "Are you sure you understand what you ask?" But Midas smiled, certain. To him, gold meant happiness, power made solid, security made eternal. And so, the wish was granted. At first, it was pure joy. He touched a branch, it gleamed. A rose, frozen mid-bloom in radiant metal. Walls, statues, chairs, all turned to gold beneath his hands. The world shimmered, obedient and magnificent. Midas laughed, the sound echoing through golden halls. He believed he had mastered the universe, that even the gods would envy his touch. But the next morning, hunger came. He reached for bread, and it turned to stone. He tried to drink, and the wine hardened like amber in his cup. The king who had everything now starved amid abundance. Then came the moment that broke him. His daughter, his joy, his heartbeat, ran into his arms. Before he could speak, before he could stop her, her laughter turned silent. Her curls turned to gold. Her eyes froze in mid-gaze. And Midas fell to his knees, weeping at the statue of the one thing he could never buy back. He cried out to Dionysus, "Take it away! Take it all away! Gold has no warmth, no taste, no soul." The god took pity and told him, "Go to the river Pactolus. Wash your hands in its waters, and your gift will leave you." Midas obeyed. As he knelt, the waters shimmered, and the gold bled from his skin into the riverbed, where, legend says, gold dust still glitters today. The river Pactolus, in the western lands of Anatolia, became known for its gold-rich sands, a treasure said to be born from Midas's repentance. When he rose, he touched the earth, and it was alive again. He drank, and the water was cool. He wept, and his tears were human. From that day, Midas turned away from wealth and built a quiet life. He learned that true richness lies not in what we own, but in what we cherish. The story of King Midas isn't about gold. It's about the human heart and how easily it confuses abundance for fulfillment. The Greeks told it not to mock kings, but to remind everyone that the greatest wealth is balance. They even had a word for it, sophrosyne, the harmony of knowing when enough is enough. Midas didn't love gold. He loved what he thought gold would bring him: safety, respect, permanence. But he learned what so many of us forget, that nothing eternal can be held by force. Love, peace, joy, they live in open hands, not clenched ones. And maybe that's why the story still matters. Because Midas never really died. He just changed shape. He scrolls through endless feeds now, turning moments into content. He works late, chasing numbers that gleam on screens instead of coins. He fills his world with noise and possessions, and still feels empty. We all carry a little of his curse. The more we grab for gold, success, likes, validation, the less we can hold what's real. But the cure is the same as it was for him: to stop, to wash our hands in the river, to touch the world gently again. Sometimes I think of Midas not as a warning, but as a mirror. He reminds me that when I rush through life, chasing results, comparing achievements, I start to lose the texture of living. So now, each morning, I write one line in a journal. What am I grateful for that I can't buy? Some days it's laughter. Some days it's silence. Some days just breath. That simple act feels like washing off the gold, remembering that what's ordinary is what makes life extraordinary. If you'd like to begin that same quiet reflection, I've linked a few of my favorite tools in the description below for a grounded life. Midas teaches us that desire without wisdom is a curse, but gratitude turns even little things into treasure. He teaches us that love, not gold, is what gives life its shine. And above all, he teaches us that the hands that destroy can also heal if we choose to use them differently. So maybe the real moral isn't don't want too much. Maybe it's want deeply, but wisely. Want what makes you more human, not what turns life cold. If this story made you reflect, you'll love The Trap of Endless Desire, a journey into why enough is never enough, and how that hunger still shapes our modern world. It's linked at the end of this video. Let's keep learning from the ancient stories that still whisper truth into our modern noise. And if you'd like to keep exploring them with me, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It helps this community grow and keeps these stories alive. Before you go, tell me this. What's the gold in your life right now that might be blinding you to what truly matters? And remember, the greatest gold is found not in your hands, but in your heart. Until next time, this is Tell Me More.